video. Hold on. Are we live? Hello. Hello, chat. How are we doing? Good evening to you all. Hope you're doing well. Sorry I'm late. I'm very late. I was planning on doing this earlier in the day, but then that news article came out about Doctor Who, and it threw off my whole schedule. I took a day off yesterday, one of my rare days off in the times of Doctor Who series, but I'm back, and I'm here to talk some Doctor Who news. We got quite a few bits going on. We got, obviously, Mrs. Flood tomorrow seemingly being revealed. We've got the brand new announcement of a Doctor Who Unleashed 20th anniversary special thing. So we're going to be talking about Interstellar Song Contest stuff, Wish World stuff. There's going to be stuff that I probably miss because there's so much of it. They've really been going all out with the promotion for the Interstellar Song Contest. They've really been going all out. If I miss anyone's chats, I apologise. I'm going to try and have this be a tight hour-long stream. We'll see if we can do it. Hour-ish long stream. We'll see if we can do it. How is everyone doing? How's everyone doing, chat? How are we doing? We got BXR, Tib Rules, Fleabee, Commander Midnight, Newbie Kid 123, Jamie Minter, Making Good Time, nice name. Hello, Dan Ben, Jess Hood, Jack, Lizzie After Midnight, Ollie W. Hey Tharies, I can't stay long, but I'm all the better for seeing you. Well, I appreciate it. Doing great. Good. Good. Glad to hear it. Paul Malley. Oh, Paul, love seeing you here as always. Hey Rebecca, how you doing? I'm convinced Mrs. Flood is the TARDIS. Ooh, that's interesting. We're going to get into that in just a sec. So I'm going to get right into the stuff I want to talk about. Before we get into the main bits of news, I wanted to just kind of do a bit of a follow-up to the video that I just posted. So if you've seen that one, this will just be like a nice kind of companion piece to that. If you've not seen that one, then don't worry, I'll give you the context. So for context, the Mirror have put out an article basically saying what me and many others have been saying for ages, that Doctor Who, with or without Disney, likely will not be cancelled, and will likely just take a year off, which is pretty much what we were all saying for the last few months anyway, pretty much. And it's what I've always maintained, but it has now been reported on by the Mirror, more specifically Nicola Metvin. Now, the reason I dedicated an entire video to this isn't just because, obviously it's some Doctor Who news, but also specifically because of who said it, because Nicola Metvin has an extremely, strong, proven track record. I put this out on Twitter. To all those doubting today's reports, Nicola Metvin has a pretty flawless track record when it comes to Doctor Who scoops. If she says something, chances are it's probably somewhat true. And then I've got a bunch of different articles from back in the day where she was bang on the money. Doctor Who will battle the Cybermen once again in darker and scarier new series. This was in July of 2019, almost a year before, well, I guess half a year before Series 12 would air. In this article as well, I believe she also mentions that Mary Shelley would make an appearance, alongside Noor Inayat Khan as well. Bradley Walsh quitting for the Christmas special, or festive special. I guess it was a New Year's. To be fair, they call it a festive special in the description as well. But that's bang on. Bradley Walsh leaving alongside co-star Tosin Cole in a festive special. Completely bang on. Doctor Who star Jodie Whittaker quits after 3 years as the Time Lord. Again, Nicola Metvin, January 2021. Her departure was announced in July. And then Doctor Who Bosses plan new Doctor Who spin-off with Gemma Redgrave in starring role. Obviously, we know that turned out to be War Between the Land and the Sea, and that was 14th of March 2023, long before War Between the Land and the Sea was officially recognised. We also have this. They were the first to report on Bradley Walsh's casting as a new companion in the first place back in 2018, as well as the first to report that Millie Gibson would have a reduced role in Season 2, and that Verada Sethi would be taking the companion duties back in, I think early 2024. So, this isn't just a random Tom, Dick or Harry saying this. That's what I want to communicate with this. This is someone with a proven, very, 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 very solid track record. I know that, the tabloids have a sense of skepticism whenever they say anything, and I understand that. But in this case, Nicola Metvin is incredibly trustworthy. It's more close to 2 years, though. I mean, not really, because we'll have War Between in 2026, and then 2027 for Series 3. So, my big prediction for Mrs. Flood is that she is the Snow from Series 1, and that the show actually had no connection. The Snow actually had no connection to Reboot whatsoever. I want them to explain what the Snow was, because what was the deal with that? What was going on there? You know, like, I hope that there's an explanation for that. I've just joined. What has been leaked, or what scoop has come out? TLDR, The Mirror has reported that Doctor Who will continue after a gap year in 2026 with a new series in 2027, which is kind of what we were all expecting. We are never getting a slow explanation? Probably not. Isn't Land of the Sea coming out relatively soon after the end of the series? As far as I heard, it was late 2025, but then The Mirror have now said that it's been bumped back to 2026. So, that's as far as I know. I hope we get a 2027 Christmas special, at least. I think so. I think we probably will. I mean, I think it's possible to get a 2026 one, assuming that they're filming, you know, if they could film, because obviously if Season 3 is releasing in 2027, that means they'll be filming in 2026. So it's not out of the possibility for, a 2026 special. Is Ncuti staying? That we don't know. It did say that Russell has written 2 series, so the assumption seems to be that he's staying. Ncuti is a bit more 50-50 from what we can make out. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to open on this just as a bit of confirmation of, like, you know, what's going on here. I swear it mentions 2027 specifically. I think what happened, if I can speak candidly, I think what happened is they probably assumed. Obviously, I think the original plan from Disney's end, at least, probably was we'll make a decision after Season 2 goes out. But what I think probably happened is that the team got cocky and assumed that they would know what would happen prior to that point. So that's why, you know, Russell was like, oh yeah, new series every year, da-da-da-da-da. And then obviously when Disney were like, no, we're not too sure, we're going to hold off until the end of Season 2, that kind of threw some spanners into the works. That's my assumption on that, because obviously that would explain Ncuti Gatwa's comments on Graham Norton and stuff like that. I've still got, no, they didn't mention 2027 specifically. Hold on, I'm going to double check. Because I just read it, so maybe I read it wrong. Where's the article gone? I had it up. The Mirror. I'll move on from this in a sec, because we got some other stuff to go. Yeah, no, it literally, it opens with, despite a big pause until 2027, for the next run to be filmed, Doctor Who will not end with the current series, and a break until 2027, implying that 2027 is when the break ends. That's the first line of the article. Am I an idiot? I feel like I read that pretty accurately. I'll double check, but... Control F at 27. Yeah. With no new series likely until 2027. Okay. It says likely, so it may not be exactly 2027 to be fair, but the implication is 2027. So I knew I didn't hallucinate it. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be talking about some other stuff, but I want to get that out of the way. What alien cameos do you think we'll get tomorrow? Oh, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that segues me into, obviously, I'll segue into something else first, but I will be talking about that when we get onto the Interstellar Song Contest section. But before I do, I want to talk about this special episode of Doctor Who Unleashed, announced celebrating 20 years of the revival. travel back with David Tennant, Billy Piper, and host Stefan Powell through a host of Whoniverse history. As Season 2 comes to a climax, a special edition of Doctor Who Unleashed is set to air on BBC Three, BBC iPlayer, and BBC Wales. Stefan Powell is once again set to take a trip through the time vortex as he invites viewers on a journey celebrating the last 20 years since Doctor Who returned, and he will be joined by a host of cast and creatives that have played a part in bringing the Whoniverse, bringing the show back in, that have played a part in bringing the show back into the Whoniverse. For some reason, that sentence really did not compute in my brain. Joining Stefan for the ride are some of the most recognisable faces, including past Doctors David Tennant and Jodie Whittaker, former companions Billy Piper, Pearl Mackie, and Mandip Gill, ex-showrunners Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall, the current Doctor Ncuti Gatwa alongside his newest companion Vera Sethu, as well as the current showrunner and the man who brought the show back in 2005, Russell T Davies. As well as chatting with the stars about Doctor Who and what it means to them, Stefan will also be revealing secrets from behind the scenes with interviews with those who work behind the cameras to bring Doctor Who to life. Speaking of the special episode, Russell T Davies said, after the season's climax again, it's great to celebrate the 20 years that led us here. I hope this is a party for faithful viewers with a galaxy of stars, Doctors, companions, Billy Piper reunited with David Tennant, and the making of our first ever Dalek. Stefan Powell adds, what a joy to be giving the Unleashed treatment to 20 years worth of Doctor Who history, to see the lasting impact the show has made, on those who helped bring the magic to the screen has been a privilege and a reminder of just how much the show means to so many. So yeah, really glad that they are doing something to mark the 20th anniversary. I said a couple of months ago it would be a bit of a shame if there wasn't anything, but I'm glad that they're doing this. Obviously, I know we've got the Big Finish 9 Rose audios as well, but I'm glad we're getting something in an official capacity to mark this. Very glad that that was the case. Also, we got our first super chat. Thank you to Stephen Taylor. I personally think we will get a Doctor Who movie soon. I actually did see a rumour about that, which I might cover at some point. But we'll see. But yeah, no, I'm really glad that they're doing something. I think Russell said, I think I saw in another interview that part of the reason why this is being done is because he kind of was like, oh, I kind of regret not doing something for the 20th anniversary, so we now have this, which very glad about. Very nice to see Billy Piper and David Tennant reunite as well. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching this. Apparently, from what I've read, it's about an hour long, this. So it'll be an hour long special. I don't know when it comes out. Have they said that? I'll check the BBC press release. As you can tell, this is probably a little bit more of a slapdash live stream than usual, and that's because I was late. BBC press office. Where's the actual article? They didn't link the... Okay, hold on. There we go. Right. Let me have a look. Does it actually say when it's coming out? Oh, we got these images. That's pretty cool. Russell in his little studio there. No, I don't think this actually says anything else. No, I don't think it really does. Okay, so that comes out at some point, I guess. I wonder, part of me wonders too, that was the other thing I was going to say, if this was Russell's secret project. Do you remember we spoke about Russell's secret project? Back in July, he mentioned it. So I think that might be what this is, potentially, because they said it was a late commission. So, yeah, very glad that they're doing this. Very, very cool. What's next on the list? Oh yeah, so we did get a actual spoiler warning from Russell T Davies with regards to tomorrow. Let's give it a listen.
It's almost time for the Interstellar Song Contest, but be warned, this is your spoiler warning. You will want to make sure you see this episode as soon as you can. Don't have the results of the contest spoiled by a flood of spoilers. Astonishing things happen. Watch it on BBC iPlayer in the UK and Disney Plus where available.
So obviously, key things there, I think, could be wrong. This is the first time he's done one of these since, I want to say, the Giggle. If not, Maybe he did one for the season 1 finale. But also, notice the wording of a flood of spoilers, obviously hinting towards a actual Mrs. Flood reveal, and I do believe that it was said in an interview by Juno Dawson that we would be getting a formal Mrs. Flood reveal of some kind, and in fact the next Doctor Who magazine is The Truth About Mrs. Flood, so we can assume that this next episode will be, you know, we're going to find out what the deal of Mrs. Flood is. So I want to lock in my final prediction, chat. I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to lock in my final thought. Okay, so my final prediction is, and it's the most boring one ever, I think it's the Rani. I do. I think it's the Rani. I just have a feeling that that's what they're going to do, because it just makes sense at this point. It just makes sense. I think it's the Rani. I just do. Part of me wants it to be a new character, like the God of Stories, or, you know, the God of Wishes or something, but I just think, as a reveal, they would do the Rani. I can even picture the line being something like, oh, it doesn't rain, it floods. Rain, Rani, you know, like that whole thing. I just think that's what they're going to do. She's a weeping angel of old from the end of time. Elise, is that you? For those of you who don't understand, someone who I do the podcast with Diffused Adipose, Elise, she believes it's a Time Lord, a weeping angel of old as well. It's going to be the Doctor's secret evil sister. Ooh, interesting. A little bit Star Warsy, I think. Secret siblings. But maybe. The utopia of RTD2. It does seem a bit like that. I just think it is her. She's Susan, do you think? I don't get Susan vibes. I know that, like, to be fair, they hinted towards Susan a lot last year. So maybe? I think the worst outcome for me personally would be if she's either the Master or Missy, you know, whichever name she decides to go by. Because for me, that would be like, I know obviously the Rani is fairly predictable, but I think surely, like, the Master's even more so, right? Like, he comes back all the blooming time, you know? Like, and yeah, actually, speaking of that, on the Unleashed, I was right. They did say on the Unleashed, get ready, it's the making of the Interstellar Song Contest. Stefan Powell interviews special guest and fanboy Rylan Clark. He's on work experience as a third assistant director, and stay tuned as the floodgates open on Anita Dobson's character. So yeah, as Russell T Davies said, keep an eye out for spoilers, because it looks like tomorrow's episode will be the episode where we formally hear and, like, see for the first time who this woman actually is. Officially, I'm putting my money on the Rani. I'm locking that in now. I just have a feeling. Maybe Mrs. Flood is Brian May. I've said before, they should have Anita Dobson come out to a Queen song. Like when she's revealed, you know how, like, the Master has, like, the Scissor Sisters, and the Toymaker has Spice Up Your Life. I reckon that, like, Mrs. Flood should have, like, We Are the Champions or something. I think that would be fun. Or Bohemian Rhapsody or something. I just think that would be funny. Let me have a look. What we saying? The evil sister reminds me of Sherlock. True! Yes, very much so. I do think it's weird that she didn't recognise the TARDIS and jumped on Ruby Road, though until it started disappearing, she recognised a TARDIS, but not the TARDIS. Could that be because Chameleon Arch stuff, though? Maybe. Queen Killer. Oh yeah, Killer Queen. Yes, that would be good. Yes. Could they afford a Queen song, do you think? I know they couldn't afford Beatles songs when they were doing. You think she's Susan? I just don't get Susan vibes, but I mean, maybe it is. I will happily eat my words on that. The thing is, I feel like if you're going to do Susan, you have to get Carol Ann Ford in, right? God of Coincidence? I like that. There's a lot of coincidence in this era. In fact, that's kind of been a running theme, so maybe? Yeah? I'm just really curious to see how it all shakes out, to be honest. Let me get up the two other things. So, the two other things I want to mention in terms of the Interstellar Song Contest beyond, we've got some videos to go over as well. It's confirmed that this character is called Kid, the one with the horns, and it says, The quote is, Kid is a charismatic, devious, revolutionary leader. His group are trying to get justice for wrongs. Interesting. So he is obviously like, kind of a vaguely revolutionary character. I hope the Doctor, I mean, obviously it depends on, what he's being a revolutionary for, but like, obviously, I hope the Doctor is sympathetic towards that. Obviously, in terms of other stuff that was said about the Interstellar Song Contest, I believe in the Radio Times by Juno Dawson, fourth song of the episode is a surprise quote, a surprise at the end. Is that a reference to Twist at the end? Are we going to get a reprise of Twist at the end in like an evil version with Mrs. Flood? That does feel very much similar to that. The Doctor is full of rage in this one. Good. I love that. I love seeing a bit. That's something I've loved about this series, is seeing a bit more of like the Doctor's edge. That was something I was missing last year. Gary and Mike having a rough time in their marriage. So I'm assuming these are the two men that we've seen in the promotional images. So cool. So we got a revolutionary here, and obviously surprise in the fourth song. So that implies that there'll be multiple songs, which we kind of knew. I'm assuming most of the music will be written by Murray Gold. I do think, if the Space Babies can come back, I think Twist at the end is probably on the table. I'm going to be honest. I think that's probably fairly likely. If it's the Trickster, I'll eat my hat. I don't think it is. I know I did that theory, and I think part of me just really wants the Trickster to be involved, but I don't think he is. Doesn't they say Lux makes an appearance in the Interstellar Song Contest? I think they said Alan Cumming makes an appearance. I don't know whether it was Lux specifically. How the Space Babies are relevant? Yeah, well, that's the interesting... Actually, you've brought me on to the next thing I wanted to talk about. Juno confirmed that she and Russell wrote the songs together and Murray composed the music in a Eurovision style. Okay, cool. I watched The Greatest Show in the Galaxy for the first time today in preparation for tomorrow's episode. That's a good choice. That feels... maybe it is the Gods of Ragnarok. I've always thought that would be cool. Darius, do you think Kronos would become relevant in the modern era by chance? I know the big popular theory is that that Omega could return. Sutek was last year. But what if Kronos also returned? I would be in favour of it. Just a theory. And they are both similar consorts of a show being put on. Very true. Yeah. It will be the Trickster. The theme was literally the same. I feel like we said that last year, though, and it ended up just being a weird coincidence where they sounded vaguely similar. The thing is, I know that, like, you're joking, Mark, but that's honestly something I can see them say. There is a Turlo reference, yes. Yes, there is a Turlo reference. One of the planets, I think, is meant to be Turlo's home planet. Like, it's on a screen somewhere, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I wanted to cover Wish World's synopsis. So this is episode 7 of 8. Mad how close we are to the end. These 8-episode series, man, they go too quick. Traps are sprung and old enemies unite as the Doctor and Belinda finally arrive home to find a very different world. Can the Doctor see the truth before midnight arrives? So, a couple of interesting things going on here. For one thing, obviously, it's got the Doctor and Belinda arriving home to find a very different world. For another, we've got the tie-in to Midnight. I'm not sure why Midnight is relevant in this case. I don't think it's got anything to do with the Midnight entity. But maybe my kind of theory is the world that they're going to enter is kind of like, Conrad's version of the world kind of thing. I mean, we've seen that kind of in filming images anyway. But I'm thinking maybe it's going to be like a Back to the Future 2 style. Like not alternate 1985, where you go to like Biff Tannen's version of like Hill Valley, and it's all like destitute, and like he owns like a massive casino, and he's very obviously meant to be Donald Trump. I think that's kind of what we're going to be going for, but like obviously, the Doctor Who version of that with Conrad is my assumption. I have no idea where Midnight fits into that. Maybe if the clock strikes midnight, then the changes that Conrad makes to the world become permanent. Maybe it's kind of like a fairy tale type situation, which would fit in with stuff. terms of casting, we have the Doctor, of course, and Ncuti Gatwa, Belinda Chandra, Varada Sethu, Ruby Sunday, Millie Gibson, Conrad Clark, Jonah Hua King, Otto Zufel, played by Attila Kinsey, Violet Zufel, played by Lenny Adams, Poppy, played by Sienna Robin Mavanga Phipps. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm definitely not. You got Melody Bush, Molly Langford, Shirley Bingham, Ruth Madley, Kate Stewart, Gemma Redgrave, Susan Triad making her return, played by, of course, Susan Twist. For the longest time, I thought Susan Twist was the name of the character because it was such a perfect name for that character, but no. Colonel Ibrahim, Alexander Devrian, of course, and we also will be getting introduced to Lakshmi Chandra, who I assume is the mother of Belinda. So that's interesting. I believe as well on a casting website we saw her father as well. Carla and Cherry Sunday making their return as well. Mrs. Flood, of course. I think I've named most of the major names there. So very interesting. I'm going to be very interested to see how this all shakes out. In the episode title teaser, we did say o'clock. Yeah, that is very true. I just wonder how it ties in. Because obviously we know that there's going to be those bone creatures. Have seen Daniel RPK tweet spoilers for the finale over him being wrong about Doctor Who being cancelled. He's so petty. Man, that sucks. I'm trying to avoid, like, the spoilers for the finale like the plague. I know that people will say that, oh, you know, I cover spoilery things, but, like, I tend not to cover them if, like, you know, they're, like, fully, like, accurate. And I'll only cover something if, like, it's already everywhere else. And, like, you know, I'm pretty confident that, like, it's one of those things with, like, a lot of things where I never tend to break, like, exclusive, like, information and stuff because, you know, it's kind of, I just kind of think it's, like, a bit of a douchey thing to do. Like, if something's already out there, Archie Lau was cast as Harry Chandra, yes. Interestingly, not credited here, despite Belinda's mum. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe it's more of a smaller part, but I swear she mentions her dad more. Poppy is the time of child. I have seen that theory. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's a scenario. I think it's what I said in my... let me get it up. I think it's what I said in... I think it's what I said in this video here. I think it's going to be a scenario where, like, stories are, like, leaking out, and, like, obviously she was a story, and obviously the Bogeyman was a story, so I think it ties into that. I think it's to do with these stories leaking out. Let me... Where's the... I don't know. It's this video, essentially. Whether that means that, like, Mrs. Flood is the god of stories, I don't know. Maybe the Rani uses time travel to basically facilitate Comrade's wishes in some kind of way, in some kind of, like, twisted Doctor Who equivalent of the genie, hence, you know, wish world. That's kind of my thinking there. Oh, yeah, so what's next? Done that, done that, done that. We do have also the official release and images for the Doctor Who Season 2 Steelbook, and now what's interesting about this is they very deliberately not shown the back, which is an indication that some spoilery character is probably going to appear on the back, likely Mrs. Flood in her full regalia, in whatever her final costume is. But I have to say, I'm very keen on this artwork, and I will be ordering one of these from Amazon. Oh, it's a #1 bestseller. Just check that. Literally, you guys can see, just check that just now. #1 bestseller in Steelbook. But of course, you know, it's a dead show, isn't it? No one watches it. It doesn't make any money. Why would they keep making it? It's so funny, because when I was talking about the mirror stuff earlier, there are some people who, it doesn't matter, like, you know, what you say to them, they will be convinced Doctor Who is cancelled no matter what. No matter what. Meddling Monk is a good shout. Oh, that would be cool. Have you seen the BBC video about Mr. Rigging that has 1.3 million views? Yeah, I mean, like, the Mr. Rigging in particular has been going crazy online. I don't know why. I think it's because people like animation, but he's been doing mad numbers on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all the sorts. I hope the finale is good, especially if we have to wait until 27th. That is one of my concerns, yeah, like, obviously, the fact that, this is probably going to be our last episode of mainline Doctor Who for a while. Makes me really hopeful that, you know, it doesn't leave us on an Empire of Death type note. You know, it leaves us on a note where we're like, oh, that was good. You know? What will be revealed about Time Lord history, though? I don't know. I'm assuming that's where the Rani ties in. On Time Lord history, I mean, maybe... My kind of theory is, in this kind of alternate wish world reality and reality war, in this reality the Time Lords still exist, and maybe they're going to play something with that. That's just my kind of conspiracy. 2026 is just going to be 2016 again. Exactly. I mean, the thing is, it's not even like we've not had that before. We had that in 2016. Even 2019 was kind of like that. In fact, 2019 had less. And 2023 and 2022 only had 3 specials each. So it's not really that weird. Like... is there any connection to Rani Chandra? I don't think so. I know that Russell said it was a coincidence, but you could say that, I mean, he would say that no matter what. But I honestly don't think there is in this case. I mean, I am going to the cinema to see it, so I hope it's good, you know. Because I gotta say, watching Empire Death at Midnight in a cinema, and, like, you could hear a pin drop in there when I was in there. It was quite sad. No, don't worry, I won't sweep in this time. I've got my alarm set this time, don't you worry. Otto and Violet Zufel in the credits. Coincidence in German. It's a hint. Ooh. The toy maker, German. No. Finale better not be It's All a Dream. Yeah, no, I agree. Just because the whole theme of the era has been about stories, I agree. I wouldn't mind them tying that in somewhat. Verada Sethi referred to this as her first season, which remains hopeful that she might stick around. Yeah, that's true. Let me get that up. You just reminded me. See, you keep reminding me of all these things that, like, I was meaning to cover and then just sort of got sidetracked. To be honest, I've been very busy. Like, the last few days, in terms of Doctor Who stuff, has just been a little bit insane. Let me find what that was. Verada. Hang on, which article was that in? Hold on, I'm going to ask you guys. I'll do one better. I'll just ask you guys. Which article was that? I know it was on a recent interview. Was it with Rylan? Who was it? Who was it? Who was it? There's Juno Dawson. Or maybe it was Juno Dawson's interview. Let me see. Ah, yes. What was it like working with Ncuti and Verada? Working with the two of them was amazing. They both welcomed me with open arms. I met them both in the makeup truck and Verada was there and we just laughed straight away. Me and Ncuti were just chatting about friends we have in common with Verada. And it being her first season as the companion, it still felt really new for her, so it was nice to gauge how she was feeling too. They're both so lovely and we still message now. Interesting. So first season, I found it. So first season as the companion. I hope she does a second one, to be honest, because I like Belinda. I like her a fair amount, and I do sort of think one of the unfortunate side effects of the 8-episode thing is the fact that, like, obviously when you have episodes like Lucky Day and stuff, it basically means that you get one less episode with them. I'm so excited for tonight's episode. Me too. You should take Dennis the Cyberhead with you. What, to the cinema? Yeah, you should do. You know what? They're actually really heavy. I mean, this is probably known to most people, but like they're actually a lot heavier than you'd think they are. Belinda has been a breath of fresh air. Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see her stay another year. To be honest, I like her more than Ruby Riley. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't hate Ruby. I quite like Ruby, but there's just not as much there. You know, it's kind of like, to be fair, I think that they've added quite a bit to her with this whole, like, PTSD and, like, her finding someone that she thought she could trust only to be betrayed. They've added on a fair bit there, but I think it's just, I think the fundamental thing is her dynamic with the Doctor is just so much less interesting. You know, they're just best mates who trust each other implicitly, whereas with Belinda, there's that bit of distrust, which I think just makes it a bit more of an interesting dynamic, I think. Do you think if we went back to just BBC, it would increase episode count back to 10? No. I don't think you'd be seeing a budget. I don't think you'd be seeing an episode increase if it goes back to the BBC. At best, it'll stay the same. At worst, it might go down to like 6, because, you know, the BBC do not have that much money. I will pay Tharies to wear the Sutek head to the cinema. How much pay are we talking, Mark? Wouldn't be a Tharies live stream without some of that lovely Empire Death hate. Look, I like this era. I like this era more than a lot of people seem to. But that's the one episode I can't get past. I mean, it's that and kind of Space Babies to a lesser extent. Every other episode I can kind of, you know, give the benefit of the doubt, or, you know, I can see some stuff I like in it. Those two, I mean, to be fair, I can see some stuff I like in both of those. But they're just the ones that I just can't get on board with. For love nor money. Someone at my door? I bring Tharies' gift of videos. Very true. Empire Death hurts my head. Yeah, I just don't want a finale on that same level, you know? Actually, while we're here, I better talk about the one thing that I was going to talk about before we get around to it. Because everyone assumed I was trying to avoid this, which I wasn't. I was just busy. We had the ratings for Lucky Day, the consolidated 7-day figures. Official ratings, Doctor Who Episode 4 saw a downturn in viewership as the series hit a low with 2.8 million views, 7-day data reveals. But then this is the key part. Lucky Day remained the most watched show on BBC One for the day, and third across all channels. BGT came in first with 4.86. So yeah, people were like, oh, I wonder why you're not covering the viewing figures today. Could it be because they're lower? No, I was just busy. To be honest, I was just busy with other videos. But no, to be honest, I mean, like, I was roughly expecting this. I was expecting a downturn for Lucky Day because obviously the overnights weren't as strong. Luckily, presuming that this episode goes out when it's supposed to, i.e. In between the FA Cup and Eurovision, we'll probably see a spike for that. Also worth mentioning that this will be the first week, I believe, where Doctor Who is not placed up against Britain's Got Talent, which, for me personally, I think that's one of the biggest sins of the scheduling this year, is why have they scheduled it directly opposite Britain's Got Talent? I don't get it. Like, from my perspective, it's a bit like, you know, the whole scheduling it against Corrie in the 80s thing. Like, of course you're going to see a lesser return. But again, worth noting that, like, even then, you know, it's still the third most watched thing on the Saturday, and the first most watched thing on Saturday for the BBC. We can have a look here, according to the BARB. Doctor Who was 29th for the week with 2.8 million. Again, I'd like to see it a bit higher in terms of the 7-day, like, rankings, for sure. But, like, if you actually look at, like, Saturday, you can see here, I can like, literally look. Saturday, you've got Britain's Got Talent, 4.8, the 1% Club, just under 4 million, and then Doctor Who, 2.8. So, like, that's the absolute peak of Saturday was 4.8 million. which really puts into perspective, you know, how much in general things are down. As I've said before, you know, for context, Britain's Got Talent was getting about 10 million viewers around 10 years ago, and Doctor Who was getting around like 5 or 6. So, relatively speaking, you know, they're both numbers are roughly in line with each other in terms of general TV decline. But of course, you know, it doesn't get looked at that way. It gets, and I get why, you know, people go, oh, it's the lowest viewing figure ever. Yeah, but you could say that about most things. I think that's the issue is, yeah, it's the lowest viewing figure for Doctor Who. You could say that about most TV shows that have been going on long enough. The only difference is that it's not as fun to sensationalise record low viewing figures for The City is Ours. I'm just using that as a random example. It might not be record low. I'm just using a random, or like Emmerdale. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know. But that's because, you know, Doctor Who has become a culture war talking point, and no matter what happens, it will always be one, it seems like. As I said, you know, even after that, oh, I didn't mean to click that. Even after we saw Nicola Metvin's reports today, people were still saying, like, oh, you know, but it is cancelled, though, because I said, and it's like, will the episode be uploaded to iPlayer in the morning? Yes, other than the finale, everything else is going to be 8 AM UK time. Or maybe I'll pay Theories on Cameo to dress Jodie Whittaker and recite the entire Legends of the CW script, including Jodie's accent. I mean, look, I don't even know whether Cameo allows stuff that's that long. But I would do that. I would dress up as Jodie. Sure. Britain's Got Talent changed format this year. Normally the lives are over 1 week, so only one Saturday. This year they've done it Saturdays only. Interesting. So do you reckon they were struggling a bit with the weekly thing? That's interesting, because that is something I noticed with a lot of like the you know, like Celebrity Big Brothers and stuff like that. Is they've not been hitting the same way that like I think they probably wanted them to, and I think part of that, at least from my perspective, is I just don't have the energy to commit to one of those shows that airs nightly. You know what I mean? Same goes with I'm a Celebrity. Like, I just don't have the capacity in my brain to like follow one of those shows every single night. Kind of wish they weren't doing an early release for Insult Song Contest. Yeah, I mean, I kind of hope that if it does go back to the CNEX series, that gets abolished. I think it probably will. I think that is definitely, almost certainly, a Disney thing. So, I'm going to bed. Enjoy tomorrow, everyone. I'm guessing Mr. Flood is the God of Ragnarok or God of Coincidence. Good night, Mark. Have a nice sleep, and I will speak to you. I'll see you then. We'll see what we thought. Let me go over some of the video clips. I'm going to try and not get copyright claimed into oblivion. So we're going to give that a go. EastEnders set to be cancelled. RIP EastEnders. Exactly. Like, this is the thing. Like, no one ever says that, you know? Like, no one ever says that about EastEnders or Emmerdale or anything like that. It's only ever applied. The logic's only ever applied to Doctor Who. It's just weird. Like, for everyone who does those videos being like, Doctor Who's gonna get cancelled, the ratings are low, I want to see videos like that for every British TV show. You can't watch nightly shows, programs because you have a life. I wouldn't go that far. Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far, Lily. Oh, dear. Thanks, how do you feel about Jim and being the 16th Doctor? I personally like that idea. I think I'd prefer that over some of the other rumoured ideas. I'll say that. I think I would still prefer someone new overall, though. Let me have a look on the Instagrams. Because they had like a what to expect in the That's Verana Sethu. Oh, is that a little hint towards Mrs. Flood? Oh, interesting. We'll have a watch of that. So there was this one. Actually, I can play that one on YouTube because that one's pretty short. Oh, I got jump scared by my own face then. What flattering angle. By the way, has anyone seen that Superman trailer? It's so good. Very funny timing from Mr. H reviews there. Anyway, oh yeah, we're top of the thing. I just noticed. Very cool. Thank you, everyone. Where is it? This was the one. No, the one before that. The next time. So that was what
Join your
I was going to
host,
say.
Ryan Clark, in a
I
celebration
reckon
of talent from across the universe. Live
That
with
okay.
audience.
I'm gonna pause there. I reckon. Where are they? No, go back a bit more. Back a bit. That looks like a sea devil to me. Am I seeing things, or it's like the beak and the snout and the... Maybe? Anyway.
Live with audience.
I want to see an ood. I want to see an ood in the background. That's what I want.
3 trillion at the Interstellar Song Contest.
Oh, we're so staying.
We're staying.
There you go. So there's that one. There's the preview one, which you've probably all seen, which also has really weird color grading in the YouTube version. So I won't play that one. You got Graham Norton and Rylan here. I think I should be okay for this one.
If I could go anywhere in time and
Oh,
space.
it's one of those ones where it's like, where would you go in the TARDIS? Fair enough. I don't need to watch all that, but I'll watch What to Expect in the...
What to expect in this week's episode of Doctor Who.
Welcome to the
It is surreal seeing Graham Norton actually make it into the show after all these years.
803rd Interstellar Song Contest!
Oh, we're so staying.
We're staying.
Loads of aliens.
Explosive event!
Terror, trauma.
Also, is it just me, or are all those people getting sucked into the vacuum of space? Because that's quite dark, if that's what they're doing.
And tears.
What to
I saw someone on Twitter say that was like, this is going to be a very obscure reference. So you know when Mario falls down in Mario 64, the whoa! It sounds a bit like that, which is quite funny. Yeah, interesting. Obviously, the main thing we've heard about this one is that it's going to be darker than you expect, which is what I'm looking forward to about it, I think. It gives very McCoy era kind of vibes, for sure. Which makes sense, because I believe that's Juno's favourite. They do look similar to the others. I think they might be birds. Oh, okay, they might be birds. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, oh yeah, Greatest Show in the Galaxy build. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's very Greatest Show in the Galaxy. What if she is Time Lord God? Maybe. Maybe she's the god of time. Well, I guess that would be Omega in that case, right? There was another thing that they posted, wasn't there? I feel like I'm missing one, but maybe I'm not. Oh yeah, there was this. There was like a behind-the-scenes, like, studios thing.
Props and costumes after they appear in the show. At a top secret, undisclosed location, we have our very
I'm
own
gonna get
Black
copyright claim
Archive,
for this.
where we keep a treasure trove
Look at
of
that.
paraphernalia from Doctor Who's
I
61-year
wanna go.
history. Just like Unit's very own vault, you can expect to see monsters,
The Mr. Rigging film character.
aliens, gadgets, and even the odd Dalek, as well as enough costumes to rival the TARDIS wardrobe. It's truly like stepping back and forwards in time. You know, timey-wimey. The archive is home
Look, it's the android! Look at that!
to around 3
I'm really glad that there's a fair amount of Doctor Who stuff that actually still is alive and is around and hasn't been sold off. That's very nice.
1,000 items, which have been preserved in case
The
they
Oscar
ever need to feature in the
okay.
show, or so they can be displayed at events like premieres, Doctor Who proms, or our Worlds of Wonder exhibition, which is currently in San Diego. Sadly, we don't have Kate's gold level clearance to invite guests, but we'd love to show
Oh my god, it's Jimbo!
off the collection. So,
Oh my god, it's polish.
If there's anything you'd like to see in more detail, let us know in the comments, and we'll see what we can dig out.
Oh, can't they open it up for tours? I'd go. Oh my god, there's the library thing as well. Oh my god, look, it's the literal like prototypes of the 14th Sonic. Wow. Oh, why can't they just... Man, this just makes me miss the Doctor Who experience, dude. I miss it so much. I miss it so much. Exactly, it was so good. I'm really glad that some of it's been being kept around, though. I'm very glad that they are preserving stuff. We definitely need the Doctor Who experience again. I miss it so much. It's actually insane. I think about it often. And how much I miss it. Is there anything I missed, chat? Is there anything big about tomorrow's episode that they've discussed that I missed? I feel like we've done most of it, but I feel like I'm going to say that, and then... Okay, someone has... Okay, so I'm going to mention it. So Daniel RPK has supposed that an 8th Doctor Limited series was planned, but it was canned after the series didn't do well. I mean, that doesn't even fit with the original commission, because the original commission was 2 series and a spin-off, and we know the spin-off was War Between. But also, Luke Smith, who does some of the models, are in... Bad Wolf, and he was the one who did the bogies. If you go back and watch Doctor Who Unleashed, he was like one of the guys doing like the bogies. In Doctor Who Unleashed, he was like, yeah, it's true, we built them all at 1/100th scale by mistake, and the only thing we could have done the series was like Underworld with CSO, which obviously taken the mick. So yeah, it's not true. You know, this is coming from someone who has done prop work on Doctor Who as well. Let me find it. Yeah, look, you can see some of the stuff that they've been working on. Story of the Engine stuff as well. Very, very cool. So yeah, it's not true. There we go. That's that debunked. Debunked. It's funny because I hear Daniel RPK has a relatively good track record when it comes to this stuff, but like, I guess Doctor Who is his weakness. You forgot to cover the Space Babies connection in the front. I think I mentioned that Poppy was back, right? Is Shooty staying on? We do not know that yet. That's one we don't know. Theories, we could still see the Daleks in the finale, even though Wishful doesn't sound relevant to the Daleks. Neither does Army of Ghosts, to be fair. True. I mean, I'd like to see them in some point, but I'd also think I'd rather them save them for an actual story where they're the focus, if you know what I mean. Gonna head to bed so I can wake up early for Doctor Who. I think I will probably join you in a couple minutes. I'm probably gonna stay on for about 5 more minutes, see if there's anything else. Is Poppy Baby Doctor? I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think it is. Daniel is pretty good with Marvel stuff. Yeah, he just seems to be a bit way off when it comes to Doctor Who from what I can make out. Because I cover Doctor Who stuff regularly, and from everything I've heard, it's just not accurate at all. So I guess if he has leaked stuff, it could be wrong. Just seeing if I missed anything. I don't think I did. I think I got pretty much all of it. The Poppy is the Doctor reminds me of speculation. Yeah, it reminds me exactly of that, Friendly Attack Here. It reminds me exactly of people who thought that Bal and Vinda were going to be the Doctor's parents. And I just don't think that's what they're going to do. I don't know, I don't mind Clara in the end. I definitely did get sick of her. have you enjoyed this season more than last season? Yes. I still think season 1 has some pretty solid episodes. I think that run from, I would also argue Devil's Call, but let's say Boom to Rogue is like pretty solid. But where season 1 really falls down, in my opinion, is its overall construction and world building and like arc maintenance stuff, and also like character development stuff. Season 2 has, you know, a stronger opener and a more consistent episode run in terms of quality of episodes. But more than that, I think the big difference, because I don't think the quality jump in terms of episodes individually is that different, but I think where season 2 excels is, I think the arc stuff is a lot better implemented, and I think everything's more tonally consistent. Does that make sense? Everything just sort of fits together better so far with season 2, in a way that season 1 kind of felt a bit disjointed in places. Even though like a lot of the individual episodes were good, I felt the overall package didn't quite come together. Whereas I think season 2 does a much better job of feeling like a complete thing, at least so far. We haven't seen the finale, to be fair. Yeah, I think this season flows a lot better. Exactly. I mean, for example, right, obviously, you know, we've got Conrad being introduced in episode 4, who we know is going to come back in the finale, presumably in some kind of antagonistic role. Contrast that with Sutag last year, who kind of just pops up. You know, he's kind of just there. And I think that is, you know, a difference. Darius, it's a pinch of salt. Please stop saying grain of salt. I think you can say either, right? I've heard both. I'm pretty sure you could say either. Why do you think Russell specifically gave a spoiler warning here? Because Mrs. Flood's probably going to be revealed. I think that's probably what it is. It helps that the first 3 episodes led into each other too. Yes! They didn't do that weird 6-month time jump thing that they did for Space Babies to Devil's Call, which I always thought was a bit bizarre. Like, why? What did that add? I know that, like, they said later on that it's meant to be a reference to Pyramids of Mars, and it's like, okay, but was it needed? Oh, yes. Good. Someone's mentioned it. I forgot about that, actually. Ncuti Gatwa has pulled out of Eurovision, hasn't he? He was going to be the announcer for the UK, and he's pulled out. So, yeah, obviously it says that there was, I think it was what was it, like unforeseen circumstances. I don't want to assume why, but I feel like, you know, we all probably have a pretty good idea of why it probably is. I guess they did it for expanded media. Yeah, but like, you could just put it at another point. Yeah, I don't think anyone minds like a time jump when we know the Doctor and companions well. But like, doing it straight out the gate wasn't a good move. Because, like, you could very easily put a time jump in between the events of The Well and Lucky Day for the Doctor and Belinda. You know, where a bunch of stories happen there. And I don't think anyone would mind as much, but doing it, like you know, doing it after, for your second episode is weird. But I don't, oh yeah, no, to answer your question, you don't know, I don't think him pulling out of Eurovision would really impact the Disney relationship, because from what Russell said, the Eurovision stuff is not really a Disney tie-in at all. He basically said that he had to explain to Disney what Eurovision was, so I don't think it really matters on their end. You think the Interstellar Song Contest will be a yearly special? No, I think it's just a one-off thing. Be interesting if they did a special every year for the Interstellar Song Contest, for Eurovision, sorry, but I don't think it'll become a recurring thing. I could be wrong there. I wouldn't mind 8 episodes as much if they increased the run time. Very true. Maybe like some of the shows, like 1 hour episodes. That's my main thing. If you're going to have 8 episodes, make them an hour long. That's my main thing. Because at least then it doesn't feel like we're being shortchanged too much. is Eurovision really a really big deal? It is in Europe, I guess. I don't really watch it, and that's not for any other reason than it's just never really appealed to me. Talent shows just don't really appeal to me at all. Take care, Lily. Take care. I think I'm going to head out as well because it is almost midnight and I've got to get some rest. Yeah, I don't understand why episodes aren't like 50 minutes to better. In the Chibnall era, why did we go up to 45 minutes? Oh, to be fair, even in the Chibnall era, that 50 minutes wasn't a hard and fast rule. I remember a few falling towards the boards, like sort of 47, 46 minutes. Legends of Sea Devils, I think, was like 43. It was quite short, that one. I remember. Who would you want to be the 16 if they had to cast them now? It's so hard, isn't it? The thing is, because I don't think, because there's probably other, actors that I'm not aware of that would be good. But I mean, Michael Sheen is one that I've always thought would be great. It's a very boring answer, but in truth, it's always one that I thought would be good. I think Tania Miller would be a good shout too. I really don't know. Does BBC have commercials? No, it does not. BBC is public service, which means it's like taxpayer funded. I hope the finale is at least 60, 70 minutes. I believe it is because I believe it's at least 60 because they said it was special length and also like the cinema timings aligned to it roughly being an hour, I think. So yeah, but I'm gonna head off because it's late. So take care, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Have fun tomorrow, and you'll see a review from me in the morning. So take care, and I'll see you soon. See you, everyone. No worries. Yeah, sorry if I didn't get to everyone's questions, but I tried to get as many of them as I could. I'll see you all in a bit, guys. Bye-bye.